Thank you. Thank you. I'm enjoying doing that. This is good. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, just rolling with kind of my introduction and stuff as more people join in. So thanks for joining, you guys. I have a couple disclaimers I shared last week, which I think are pretty important. This is my food. This is exactly what I'm going to eat this week. And it may or may not look anything like what you will eat this week. I'm gluten and dairy free, and that will be reflected in what I'm cooking. And I'm also cutting out sugar and yeast this month. I'm doing a Candida cleanse diet to help with some health issues. So that's also reflected. So I won't be using any vinegar or fermented foods or anything sometimes that I would normally use. Especially, I love hot sauce, like vinegary hot sauce, and I'm not using that this week. This is not official precision nutrition, lean eating meal planning. This is not your backdoor way to get your diet in this program. It's literally what I eat, so it's what works for me, and I can't stress enough that it might work for you and it might not, but portion size, everything else is going to go according to your own body and your own feelings for that week. I'm married, but essentially I cook for one. My husband does not eat a lean living lifestyle, and that's totally his choice, which is fine. So the amounts that I'm making are just for me. So if you've got a big family, you can adjust accordingly how that works. So a little bit on basics of what I do, what my Sunday ritual looks like. Today's Saturday, so I'm again a little bit off. I love food, and I love looking at food websites and blogs and magazines. So I spend a lot of time surfing those kind of websites. I use Pinterest and Evernote to kind of collect my thoughts for the week, and then usually Friday or Saturday I spend some time putting together a list of 2 or 3 cooked meals and then a number of accompaniments or sides that I can prep for my week. Saturday I usually clean up my kitchen and I clean out my refrigerator. I find anything that I forgot about from last week and kind of get a starting point of what I've got left and what I need to go to the store for. Sunday I go to church, and on my way home I do all my grocery shopping. I come home, and Sunday afternoons is typically when I do meal prep. And it looks a little bit different every week. But some of the basic things that I always do are hard-boiled eggs, which I did last week. I'm not doing this week because I had a few too many hard-boiled eggs last week, so I might take a week off. But it's a super great way to get protein in a quick, portable snack. I cut up vegetables every week as well. I like to just call this cut up veg, and I get a Tupperware container like this, and I cut up, this is the end of last week's, which I didn't finish, but I've got carrots and celery in here. I had zucchini and some red pepper. These are harder vegetables that will last for 4 or 5 days in the refrigerator, and then I can do any number of things with this. I can just throw them in a bag and take them with me as just cold vegetable sticks. I can cut them up on salads. I put them into soups, stir fry. I kind of maintain one container that's filled with vegetables that can be cooked or eaten raw, and then I usually have another container of softer things or things that are only for salads, like cucumbers. I might throw radishes in there. Other things that they don't hold up as long. If you put a cucumber cut up with these celery, it'll melt, and it gets weird. But so I've got some that I didn't finish last week, which I'm showing you because I'm actually going to use them up now. So that's the cool thing, is that you've got to find ways that you can reuse stuff if you don't end up using it. So I know when I started lean eating, I have to find this because I put it over here. When I started lean eating, you get through 80% full, and then you're looking at meal prep, and I had this panic. It was raised by my grandma who lived through the Depression. You get this panic about wasting food. And I think, oh no, I'm already throwing away potentially 20% of my meals. I don't want to prep a bunch of food if I don't think I'm going to eat it. And if your schedule's anything like mine, you might think you're going to be eating homemade lunches most of the week, and then it doesn't go that way. So what I've got here is some coconut oil. That's my choice. I always say fat of your choice, whatever you like to cook things in. And I've got this little, can you guys see this? This is just a little enameled cast iron pan that my husband gave me for Christmas, so I love it. And what I've got here is some leftover carrots, zucchini, and celery. that I chopped up really, really fine. Can you guys see how fine this is? Now it's stuck all over my fingers. And there's also about a quarter of an onion in here. So I've got about a cup of kind of mixed veg and a quarter of an onion. And I chopped it up super fine. You can throw this in the food processor. I have this, I don't know if you guys have this outside of America if you're from Canada. This is called like a slap chop, right? It's this little, do you remember that infomercial, that crazy ShamWow guy? Yeah. So I have one of those. It works great. I have a food processor, but sometimes it's like today buried behind a bunch of other furniture, so I didn't want to get it out. So I didn't use it. So what I'm going to do is just saute this really finely cut up veg, and I'm going to use it in a recipe I'm going to make in a little bit, but I wanted to get it started. So there's kind of your first tip about cutting out vegetables. I have a little bit left in that container. I think I'll probably throw it in soup or maybe under a roast chicken or something later on. So I just put a little salt in those to get them, and I want to sweat them, kind of cook them over really low heat until they're nice and soft. And hello. So another trick I like to do when I clean up my kitchen is I like to make sure my dishwasher's empty, which I didn't do this morning because it's been kind of crazy. And I cook with my dishwasher open so I can just throw dishes in. The last thing you want to do after spending a couple of hours maybe in the kitchen might seem overwhelming at all, and then you end up with a sink full of dirty dishes. That's not going to make a Sunday ritual very fun. So I'm going to let those go and then talk about kind of the next step in my planning, and that's greens. So I always keep greens. I go to the store. I usually buy a container like this. This was baby kale from last week, or bags of washed baby spinach. Those are two of my favorites because they're great raw in a salad, or I can quickly saute them for a hot veggie side, or I like them with eggs in the morning as well. But I was at the store yesterday, and I don't know, maybe the produce delivery was off or something, but there was no good looking cut up or greens. And if you get greens that are already on their end of life, they aren't going to be great later in the week. So I want to make sure I get really fresh stuff if it's already cut up and washed, so that I can use it all week, because you don't want to throw away half of it when it goes bad. But I stopped at my mom's yesterday, and she had 2 bunches of beet greens. She knows how much I love beet greens, so she'd saved them for me, and so that was a total win. So I cut them up because if I have a bunch of beet greens in the refrigerator like this, the chances of them getting eaten are reduced severely, because sometimes I'm in a hurry and I'm making breakfast and I think, oh, I need a vegetable. Oh, I don't have time to cut up those beet greens. So I just make sure I always cut up whatever greens I have. They won't last quite as long, but I would rather throw away a half a container of cut up wilted greens than an entire bunch of untouched rotten greens. Am I right? So I'm just going to toss that over here. And then this Tupperware container, sounds like I'm endorsing Tupperware. This is specifically designed, every company makes these, to keep produce properly. So I think it's humidity controlled, or I don't know, some kind of marketing spiel for how to keep greens. But I just keep these in the fridge, and then I can throw them into whatever I'm making. So that's all ready to go. And we'll ditch that over there. Alright, so we've got these things going. Another thing I love to keep around the house are staples, especially protein. I talk about protein a lot, this habit we're doing this 2 weeks, but also because it continues to be something I'm always trying to improve, of having great quality protein available to me in a really easy to eat manner. My big mantra on meal prep is you have to make the healthy choice the easy choice. That's why I cut up stuff ahead of time, because if I've got an opportunity to come home and to a whole raw chicken, or I can stop and grab takeout on my way home, and I'm already hungry and tired, what do you think my choice is going to look like? I'm going to take the easy choice, right? But if I've got a bunch of food at home ready to eat, the easiest thing is to come home and just heat that up. So in that route, there's a few things I like. This is funny. I just discovered this at a friend of mine's house. I like tuna. I like to make tuna salad, but I'm not a fan of, I can't say I'm not a fan. I've never even tried those canned sardines and mussels and oysters. I know some people are into those, and for me it was just something I was never comfortable trying. But I found this at Trader Joe's. If you have a Trader Joe's, it's called smoked trout, and it's packed in oil, and it's delicious. And so it's something I can pull out, top on a salad. I can eat it with a fork if I'm really in a hurry and I don't have a place to eat. I have a bag full of cut up vegetables. But these canned fish or chicken products are a good staple. Not an everyday choice, but in a pinch, it's awesome. I also like to buy frozen patties of meat. So hamburger patties, ground beef. I like salmon burgers. Costco makes a really great frozen salmon burger. And Applegate Farms makes a ground turkey burger that has, I think it's got salt and rosemary in it. Super simply seasoned, and it's a great way you can just come home and throw a frozen little patty on a stove, and then in a few minutes you've got food. So a couple side tricks there. So next I'm going to do another one of my favorite tactics, and that uses my crock pot. I am not afraid to take help here. What I've got is a bunch of chicken breasts here, and I'm just going to throw these in the crock pot. I did 2 chicken breasts last week. I actually grilled those, and it wasn't enough because I had one right after the call on Saturday, and I think I ate the next one later that afternoon. So I'm going to do 4. Again, this is just for me, so you might think 4 is one meal for your family, but that's what I'm up to. I'm going to watch my back while I wash my hands. And I love this because it's super simple.